Hello and welcome to another Jay's Politics podcast, part of the Podcast 99 Internet Radio Network. You can reach us at podcast99.org or me directly at jpolypodcast. Or for a change today, we are going with my regular Twitter handle at J_Brown1981. Please feel free to reach out to me in any of these. Also, you can reach at me on gab.com or gab.ai, whichever you prefer. At also J_Brown1981. Or again on Twitter at also at Twitter at jpolypodcast. So today I thought I would discuss what happened yesterday at the White House, specifically between President Trump and Jim Acosta from CNN. These two men have always had a rather, how shall I put it, combative relationship in the White House. I don't know how much of it is show on either part. I don't know how much of it is authentic. It is what it is. However, I'm seeing a lot of backlash against Trump in the White House for what is truly Jim Acosta's fault, in my opinion. I have a link from YouTube for CNBC that shows what happened in context. And honestly, I think that it is Jim Acosta's fault because he's not playing by the rules, so to speak. Now, before I go much further, I understand that in these press pools, in these press conferences, the reporters get, on average, 1 to 2, sometimes 3 questions to be able to ask of the president, the press secretary, whoever happens to be the one talking. However, if that person decides that they are done talking to you as a member of the press, move on. Honestly, let it go. You know, you're not the only person there that has questions. You are not the only relevant person there with questions. What about some person who's trying to start up their own news media, their own site, like a young Vice or Vox or anything like that, where they're trying to start up their own media? Don't they have the right to ask questions as members of the press? Now, what I have the biggest issue of with Mr. Acosta is his actions towards the person doing their job. The White House aide that is trying to do her job. It boggles my mind that there are people who are actually defending what he did. Now, I wouldn't call what he did necessarily, pardon the pun here, accosting her. But she is doing her job, which is the president has moved on to another reporter. I need that microphone. And under any normal circumstances, Jim Acosta would have handed over that microphone. But because it's President Trump, he decides that he's more important. He deserves it more. So, here we go. This is, again, President Trump and CNN's Jim Acosta have a heated exchange from CNBC television, published yesterday. It's about 1:53 long, so this should be a nice short video.
I wanted to challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in midterms.
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Okay. Going back just a little bit here to what Mr. Acosta said. as you know, Mr. President, it was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S. The intent of that caravan is to get into the U.S. The intent of the caravan is to take jobs. Yes, some of these jobs are things that Americans do not want to do. Fine. But they need to do so legally. They need to apply in their country of residence for a visa to come here and work as a migrant worker. From there, they can work on the path to citizenship. Call me whatever you want. I don't care. But the whole point I'm trying to make here is that people like Jim Acosta in the media make this caravan sound out like they're a bunch of refugees. Well, according to international law, they are to seek asylum from the nearest country that can harbor them. Well, if it's Guatemala or Honduras, it is not the U.S. It is Mexico. Yes, Mexico has its issues, but it's still by and far safe for most of the everyday citizenry. And if it is not, then why would you even try to go through their country? That would be like if if Israel was overrun by Palestinians and the Jewish community, rather than evacuating via ships or planes, ran through the middle of Saudi Arabia trying to get to, I don't know, name a country to get, to seek asylum. I mean, it's just, it just boggles my mind how disingenuous the mainstream media can be about things. About how they can be disingenuous with the propositions of just having open borders. I'm not opposed to immigration at all. I'm not opposed to legal immigration. What I'm opposed to is illegal immigration, where you have people like the man who accidentally killed the woman with an accidental discharge in San Francisco. He'd been here 5 times and broke the law, not just breaking the law coming into the country, but broke our laws 5 different times. Why should we not fear for people like that coming into our country? Open borders could also mean that we could have terrorists come in. And I'm not just talking Islam. I'm talking about just in general, people who wish ill will against our way of life, the Western world. Is that fair to us to have our morals, our values taken away from us because, you want to allow people in that would deny us those rights? I hear people spouting that, that white men are evil, hateful, bigoted people, and it's not the case. There are those people. I'm not going to deny that at all. There are those people. However, it is, how do I want to put this? It's a more complex and more nuanced argument that you're just denigrating down to a simple statement. You are white cis male, therefore you are bigoted, you are racist, etc., etc., etc. That's not the case entirely. What it is we have a certain set of values that in the West, those values are we treat each other with respect. If you do not treat each other with respect, then you are the problem. The problem is that we generalize everybody. People say all of Islam is not peaceful. All of Islam is terrorist, etc., etc., etc. I know that to be wrong. I know that to be false wholeheartedly. Do I agree with the religion of Islam? No. Do I agree with the religion of Christianity or Judaism? No. I am Christian. I will wholeheartedly say that. However, there are things about my religion that I have issue with. There are issues with other religions that I have issue with. Does not mean that I'm bigoted against them. I know plenty of Muslims that are very peaceful, moderate people who want to assimilate into this country properly. There are those that are radicalized that do not. Why should I allow open borders as a citizen to those people that want to do me harm? Just putting that out there. Doesn't matter if it's a vast majority that don't want to do me harm. Why should I allow open borders that would allow those people in? Moving on.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country.
Now here's the thing. They don't give you the context of the question in the actual exchange. That's the one thing I hate about these short videos, but I don't have as much time as I would like to do this. I'll probably do it during my This Week in U.S. Politics, which I'm planning on doing this Saturday. Matter of fact, I'll probably set that up tonight.
You run CNN,
All right.
and if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask
much
you,
better.
Now look at what he's doing here. President Trump has clearly said, I'm moving on. She reaches in to grab the microphone, which she would do any other time. Watch this again.
Well, your ratings
let
would
me
be
ask
much
you,
better.
Let's see here. Watch this slowly here, stepping forward frame by frame. You can clearly see President Trump here is looking off and pointing to another reporter. She is coming in to do her job, which is grab the microphone. Jim Acosta, just because he is a member of the press, does not have the right to prevent these people over here and over here from having the opportunity to have their question answered because he has the mic. That is not fair to them. It's not fair to anybody else. And before you tell me, oh, these are all white people, this is not a white man. Let's see here. Oh, can't tell who this is. There's other minorities in the background. So please tell me again how Jim Acosta, because he's a minority, has the right to do what he's doing here. Watch. She's coming in to grab the mic, which is her job. And I won't even say he karate chops her that thing. Although probably I could see why they would say that. Look, there's the karate chop that he's trying to bend her elbow to prevent her from grabbing the microphone. And then to slough it off, he brings his hand in to double down and grab a hold of the mic more securely. The look on her face. I'm trying to do my job. Held it down too long. Let's go back here.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are.
And that I can agree with. Honestly, I don't agree much with President Trump on these types of things. But the fact that he would do that, Jim Acosta.
You're a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead. You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way.
In Jim's defense, I traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his
Well, I'm
butt
not a
like
big
the
fan
rest
of
us.
yours either, so.
I understand.
Here's the thing. I understand that as reporters, you have a job to do. It is to get the news. It is to get the facts of the matter. I can understand standing up for Jim. If you've known him, that's fine. But you should also be, I hope that many of you would go back to him after the fact and say, dude, you should have let it go. It's not the end of the world. Because, again, many of these mainstream media reporters know each other, and they understand, and they'll ask each other's questions for them. It's not hard to follow their line of questioning. You can see it through all these press conferences. Who's asking what question, why they're asking a question. Sometimes the same question gets asked by multiple people, slightly phrased differently. These people know how to ask the questions. Yeah. CNN in response to @real Donald Trump's press conference today. The president's ongoing attacks of the press have gone too far. They're not only dangerous, they are disturbingly un-American. While President Trump made it clear he does not respect a free press, he has a sworn obligation to protect it. A free press is vital to democracy, and we stand behind Jim Acosta and his fellow journalists everywhere. Okay, fine. I agree with this statement almost 100%. But the problem is you are being just as combative about it as he is. The problem is you attack him. You've attacked him before he attacked you. When you guys started attacking him, taking him out of context on the campaign trails, when you started blowing things out of proportion with his Make America Great Again, that's when he went on the defensive. That is why he calls you fake news. That's why he does all those things. It's to get a rise out of you. He is trolling you. But you don't see it that way. You see it as an attack on the First Amendment. It's not. It's an attack on your guys' character that you don't know how to see, that you don't see it that way. As a centrist, I don't try to take sides on this at all. I want a free press. I want a press that reports fairly and accurately the facts of the day, not spread an opinion, not spread a bias towards me against whoever they happen to be attacking at the time. You know, this horrible shooting that happened in Thousand Oaks, California, claiming 12 people's lives and the shooter's life, if I remember correctly. It's a horrible thing. But as soon as it's known, as soon as the race is known of the shooter being a white male and a former Marine, it automatically blows up to he's a white supremacist, white nationalist. Those types of things get thrown out there. Let's slow down and check the facts of the matter first. That's my issue with the mainstream media. This is why I don't watch the media, which is why I have been devoid of watching the news on television as much as possible. I very rarely read the newspapers, except for when I need to. I take to alternative media sources, like YouTube, like Twitter. I even run across the mainstream media there, and I will read and link their stuff as well. But we have to understand what it is they're doing. Now, again, I agree. A free press is vital to democracy. But you need to call out Jim for his actions. He did not have the right, even as a journalist, to hold on that microphone when the president has moved on. Screw your optics. You are not the warrior class here. You are not the most entitled class here. You, reporters, the press, work for the citizenry just as much as the president does. The reason why people like me on the internet exist is to combat your narrative that everything would be better under the quote-unquote blue-tinted glasses of the Democrat progressive parties. It just drives me nuts when you guys act like this. That's the end of their video. So, like I said, it's not an issue of it's not an issue of whether Jim Acosta is right on challenging the president or not, on his policies, on his things. He's totally within his right and job duties to do that. The problem that I and many Americans have, which is why you didn't have this blue wave that was supposed to come, is because the mainstream media, CNN, ABC, NBC, even Fox News, Breitbart, well, Breitbart's not mainstream media, but you get the point. All these extremist viewpoints are causing Americans to distrust you, which is only going to play into the fact that you're going to ruin the free press for everybody. You're not reporting things objectively. You're not reporting things fairly. You're reporting them with a biased hatred, a vitriolic hatred of Donald Trump, because he dares to call you out on your bias. Really. This is right up there with, Brian Williams saying he was in a combat zone when he wasn't. The mainstream media is trying to present itself as the warrior class against Trump, and they're not. They're trying to present themselves as fighting a battle that is only in their mind. How about this? ABC News, NBC News, Fox News, CBS News, CNN, any other news organization out there, Sinclair Media, etc. How about you report the facts? Teach your writers, and this goes to the journalism programs in the country. Teach your students, teach your reporters to write fairly and only use their opinions in an op-ed situation, not in reporting the news. I was planning on coming on and recording something about Washington Initiative 1639. And I was going to do it Tuesday night after I heard that it had passed. But that would not have allowed me the time to review and look at it objectively. I don't agree with the initiative. I think it's garbage. But if I'm going to honestly review it and make my opinion known, I better be able to objectively understand the other side of the argument and their points on it. The problem with the mainstream media is they've forgotten that part of reporting. They've forgotten that part of presenting the news. The news is more than propaganda. The news is supposed to be the facts, the truth. And if you've forgotten that, you lose my support as a media source. I hope that you guys understand this. I hope that you guys will appreciate that. But most people won't. They will see me, what I'm doing here, as an attack on the mainstream media. They'll see it as an attack on Jim Acosta. But Jim Acosta is just as responsible for the situation as anybody else. So he needs to take a hard look in the mirror at what he's done and his actions. Take care. Have a wonderful day. This has been a Thoughts by Jay segment. I'll see you this week for This Week in U.S. Politics, covering some of the election results on Saturday. Have a wonderful night.